Hi there, folks. Welcome back, and we just want to thank you folks again for coming to our Wiscasset area Chamber Chat. And this is Chip Davison with Chamber Chat with Chip. Today I just want to welcome Sheepscot Bay Physical Therapy, and I have with us Dr. Beattie, who owns Sheepscot Bay Physical Therapy, and her office manager, Janie Miller. And just want to thank you ladies for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
Kind of expose Sheepscot Bay Physical Therapy to the Chamber folks and sort of dig into the history. So just to get right going here, I want to thank LCTV for allowing us to come into their studios and hosting us today. And if you folks tell people, tell the local folks to tune into the broadcast and support their local LCTV station. Thank you so much, and without further ado, we'll get right into this. So, ladies, what is physical therapy? Tell me about that.
Physical therapy is the diagnosis and management of movement disorders, movement dysfunction. So if someone can't function well enough to do their daily activities or some work or some particular hobby, we look at what the reasons are, whether it's mobility, range of motion or strength that keeps them from doing that, and determine that during an examination and address those deficits that they need to work on and help them specifically get back to the things that they'd like to be able to do.
Okay. So now what's the difference from physical therapy, or is that an overall term as opposed to occupational therapy? Or is it all sort of the same circle?
It's not the same. It's two completely different professions. Physical therapy is often looked at as more gross motor, walking, sports activities, those sorts of things. Occupational therapy is often self-care, ADLs, which is activities of daily living, being able to care for yourself, cook, care for your home, a lot of cognitive things like managing your checkbook, being able to get around on public transportation if that exists. So those are some of the differences. There are some other gray areas. Some places the occupational therapists do all the therapy on hands or upper extremities. We do a lot of shoulders, see a lot of shoulders post-operatively. We see a lot of hand patients.
So physical therapy covers really the whole body?
Yes.
In that, yep. So knees,
yep.
Ankles, right up through to the neck?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Back injuries, neck injuries, surgeries.
And all that. Now, do you help in physical therapy? I know that in the medical profession, after someone's come through surgery, they prescribe a lot of medications and stuff. Do you find ways around that, or do they coincide?
Sometimes after surgery, you definitely need pain medication, but it's good to get moving quickly after surgery if that's appropriate based on the surgery, and that often helps your body to stay healthy and to stay mobile and can help decrease your pain. Depending on what the surgery is, it may be appropriate for us to move an extremity, for instance a shoulder, for up to 6 weeks after surgery so it doesn't stiffen up, and then we start gradually with the patient participating. It depends, every surgery is different, and we work with what each surgeon likes. Often there are guidelines with each surgeon would like their patient to do, depending on the surgery, the muscle repair, the tendon.
Great, yeah.
So we don't just see post-operative patients, we see back pain, neck pain. We like to work with young people in sports injuries. The education now for physical therapists, the entry level is a doctorate. So we go to school for 6 or 7 years to be able to sit for our
Wow.
licenses
Yeah.
and practice. PT assistants go to school for 2 years and have their associate's degree, and they can do almost every kind of treatment, but they're just not allowed to do the initial examinations.
Oh, wow. Well, great. No, that's a good explanation. We'll come back to a little bit more of that when we get into the office stuff, but you know, what folks really like to know, and they really like to know about our businesses, is the history of how things, you know, how did that get started in your life? What made you, coming through grade school, high school, kind of point yourself at this profession? And you know, we could go even from there, maybe we will, is in what made you want to be a business owner? But let's start with, how'd you get into this physical therapy thing?
Actually, my guidance counselor in high school suggested it because I liked sciences and I felt I wanted a profession that would be helping people. And I went and spent a day with a friend of mine who was a physical therapist. She worked at the old Portland City Hospital, which no longer exists. I spent a day with her and decided that's what I wanted to do. And she said that the PTs did a lot of paperwork and I perhaps might like to be a PT assistant. So I went to school for that, and by the time I was close to finishing, I decided I wanted the autonomy of being a PT and took night classes, went back to school, and got my bachelor's at Boston University. And then as the profession progressed and the entry level changed from a bachelor's to a master's to a doctorate, I went back 12 years ago and earned my doctorate.
Wow.
So I just decided that particularly being a business owner would be a good thing to do.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So that sounds busy in itself. Super busy, in fact.
Pretty much.
Just to get to that point. But in that too, I know, just because we've talked before, that you had other interests in life as far as in just living in the town of Wiscasset. You've been a paramedic.
Right.
And that's an interesting thing, and a lot of schooling all at once. But how did you ever get involved with in the paramedic field?
As with many people my age, I watched Emergency when I was young.
That's right. I watched that same show
Johnny
all the time.
Johnny and Roy.
Every
Yep.
Saturday night.
Exactly, 8 o'clock.
We would watch that.
A lot of my, some of my friends, some of my good friends went into EMS, and I did that a little bit one of the summers when I worked at Red Zeets. And then I went away to school and I didn't have the opportunity to pursue that. When I moved home back to Maine in 1988, I took a EMT course again and started running with Wiscasset. Got my intermediate license, and then in '95 got my paramedic license. So it was my way of volunteering, giving back to the town rather than being on a committee or something like that, because at the time Wiscasset was volunteer.
Yes, yep.
And I ran on, for years, ran on 1 or 2 night crews because I worked during the day.
Right. So that was a lot of no sleep.
Yeah, pretty much. My patients would sometimes say, "You look so tired today." I was out half the night, or all the night sometimes if you went to Maine Med. And I spent 13 years on the fire department as well.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
you're a fireman too?
Yes.
And you went through all that training?
Yes. Yep. I got
Wow.
my Firefighter 1 certificate back when it was separate from Firefighter 2.
So you were busy most of the time?
I was.
There's no
I
no
was.
moss growing under you.
No.
So that's great. Wow.
I loved both of them.
Yeah, so doing everything. So you went out to the calls when the call came,
Exactly.
and That was an annoying buzzer when it went off at midnight.
You get used to
jump
it.
out
It's
of
just
bed
part.
and
It's just
go.
part of life.
Wow.
You just get used
wow.
to it.
Wow. So the paramedic stuff, there's a lot of schooling that goes on there.
There was. I was fortunate enough when I took that course that I was working at Miles, and they allowed me to take time to do my clinicals and to go to my classes if I had to take daytimes off, and then to I kind of went in the hole with my time off and then rebuilt it again.
Yeah.
Because that was an advantage to the hospital as well, having another medic in the area to do transports and
Wow.
to bring people into the emergency department.
No, that's something. And you also mentioned that in between all this, you'd worked at Red's Eats and
That
other
was
local
That was in high school.
Yeah.
Red's Eats and Le Garage.
in La Garage. So both well-known Wiscasset establishments.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's all right. That's great. But both those things must have kept you busy too.
They did.
Just
They did.
when did you get any sleep?
In the daytimes.
That's amazing. So then, as we go along, just in the history portion, when did you start the brick and mortar building? After you've gotten your doctorate, you're out doing
Yeah.
stuff.
I started Sheepscot Bay Physical Therapy in 2005. The place where I worked closed, and I decided to just go ahead and start my own practice in the area where I had been working and try to make a go of it that way. So that was in 2005. So we've progressed. We had a small building on a side street in Waldoboro, and then 5 years ago moved out to Route 1. And we used to have a small office in Wiscasset, outgrew that and went to Edgecombe. And then we had to leave that site because the owner wanted to put in virtual golf.
That's
And we
right.
couldn't
yes.
find another
I remember
place
that.
to rent, so we just ended up closing that office, and now we have the larger office in Waldoboro.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And so that's where you are now, right in Waldoboro.
Correct.
And so, how's that been for you in this
It's been
building?
great. We've
Yeah.
been very busy. We've grown a lot. It's been a great location being right on Route 1.
Now, so that's been great, and you've picked up new clients over in that direction. You kind of sort of have all of Lincoln County. Do you get folks around?
We do. We get a lot of people up from the peninsulas. We get people from over this way. Occasionally people from Wiscasset will come over,
Yeah. So
especially people that I've seen
you get
before.
around, and there's a little more on that. I won't, if I get the time, I'll address. Just kind of running into the office there in Waldoboro. I think this question might be for Janie. Is running the business in the time of a COVID-19, is that a fun thing, or how did that March challenge come to you?
Well, I think like all businesses, COVID has really placed a lot of challenge on a lot of resources, whether it be staff or financial. It's unprecedented, so we just learned along with everybody else, finding out what resources were available to us, applying, adapting protocols, so to have a very safe environment for our patients. We started doing telehealth. That was new for us.
Oh, wow. Great.
So we implemented telehealth right at the very beginning, and we found very quickly that most of the patients really wanted in-person therapy. The technology was foreign for some, uncomfortable for others, but they also needed room to be able to demonstrate some of their exercises. So we found very quickly that patients really just wanted to be coming into the practice, and so we developed additional protocols to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
So every patient has to call before they come in. We
Yeah.
stagger appointments. We mask, and everybody has to sanitize upon entering. Every station is thoroughly cleaned in between, so that's why we have the gaps in between appointments. And it's worked very well. Everybody's very comfortable, very happy with
great.
that.
Yeah, I'd
So
really
we've been very
love
pleased.
I'd love for them to get like a 30-minute COVID test that could be done in 30 minutes, and just one of those instant tests. That would be helpful,
be
for
handy.
sure. Well, tell us more in the detail of physical therapy. So you've sort of explained what it is. What are the common ailments you see?
We see at Sheepscot Bay PT, we see primarily orthopedic, but not exclusively orthopedic. We have some neurological, the occasional stroke or MS patient, multiple sclerosis. But we see primarily orthopedic injuries, ankle injuries, knee injuries, surgeries. We see a lot of shoulder, knee, hip surgeries, a lot of back pain and problems, neck problems. So when someone comes in for therapy, we'll do it, and we'd have some intake paperwork. I do an initial examination of their motion, their strength, and other tests that are pertinent to that problem, and come up with a list of problems and a plan of care, and discuss that with the patient and tell them what we'll do and what we hope to accomplish. It's very people, will come 2 or 3 visits sometimes and say, well, I don't see any improvement, but it's not a quick thing. Occasionally
Right.
it is, but oftentimes it's not quick. It takes patient participation. We give home exercises, and that's a huge component. I can see someone twice a week for 45 minutes, but what they do at home for their home exercises the rest of the time is hugely important.
Yep. So we never get away from homework then.
No, we don't.
Yeah. So you have basically injuries that happen immediately, and injuries that happen over a span of years to all of us, really.
Yeah. Those are the ones that take longer. If we are able to see someone right after their injury, often it takes far less time for that to get better than if it's been a problem for years.
Wow. So a lot of stuff there. What are the fun therapies that people love? Is there any?
Oh, come on.
Anyone bend their arm backwards and
We try to make it fun. We work patients appropriately. We want them to leave feeling like they've done something. It's not always pain and torture, which is an unfortunate nickname that we've acquired. We do have patients work hard as appropriate. Working hard for you might be different than working hard for someone who's 80.
right? So everything's
it's-
tailored to the person exactly.
And we spend, most of our appointments are about 45 minutes, and we spend that time one-on-one with the patient.
Yeah.
In the corporate world, corporate therapy, a lot of times they spend a little bit of time with the PT or PT assistant and then finish up with the technician. We don't have that. The PT or PT assistant spend the whole time with the patient. So fun, I don't know, we have fun. We laugh and joke with our patients. We're serious about what we do, but we're not very serious people. And we get a lot of feedback from patients that it seems different where we are. We try to make our patients feel at home and a part of things. Sometimes they'll see another patient doing something and tell on them they weren't doing it right. And there's a lot of laughter. And I seem to be the brunt of jokes frequently, and that's perfectly fine. That's fine.
The head person gets to be the brunt of the jokes,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Oh, so I have 2 quick questions here. One, I understand you have a pool.
We do. We have an endless pool with an underwater treadmill and swim
Wow.
current. The temperature is 96 degrees,
Excellent. My wife would like that.
and it comes in very handy if we have a total knee or total hip, and we're finding it difficult to gain range of motion. That works very well in the warm water to work on that. The therapist is in the water with the patient.
Yeah.
Walking on the treadmill can be very helpful. Sometimes people are afraid to take weight on their extremity after a surgery or an injury. So the water is very buoyant and allows you to walk or take weight on it, shift weight, and it's not as scary. It also works well for balance. You put a little bit of a swim current on someone, and it's a challenge to their balance without the fear of falling and hitting the floor.
Yeah. No, that's good. Great.
So it comes in handy in a lot of diagnoses.
And does every physical therapy place have a pool?
No.
This
We're the
is-
only place
Really?
in the county that I'm aware of that has that type of pool.
Yeah, yeah. So it's quite useful, really, in this
Absolutely.
type of thing.
Absolutely.
Wow. No, that's great. So one thing, and I forget whether we had talked about it, but I know we've talked about it before, is you have a prison contract for
We
physical
do.
therapy.
We do. We cover Maine State Prison. We go there and treat the inmates, and
And all similar techniques that you use with whatever their
Yep.
ailments might
yes,
be?
we do. They get their home exercises. Often they can do their exercises in the gym that they have there.
Yeah.
And
Are they good about their homework? Or do you get
it's
to yell
about
at
the
them?
same as it is on the outside. Some are very interested and engaged and very thankful, and others just come because they think they're supposed to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's about the same proportion as on the streets.
Great. Wow.
And they're doing a good job being very mindful of COVID-19. Everyone wears a mask, and they take our temperatures as we go in, and very diligent about that.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Well, so as we get into this, Janie, tell us about running that busy office. You know, doing everything and.
It's a blast. We have a lot of fun. So right now, I joined the practice in the 1st of December after 17 years in the employment services.
Oh, okay.
So my career's all been in operations and employment services, HR. You know, Jane and I have worked very closely in building some protocols and some practices.
Nice.
It's very diverse responsibilities. Marisa works in the office and works with me on doing like medical billing and the front desk. So we've really been looking to enhance our social engagement, our marketing efforts, doing some community outreach, educational programs. And so we've got a lot of goals. We're not participating in a economic downturn, I can tell you.
Well, that's great.
Wow. We're working to, create another location, a satellite practice office here within the year. We're hiring another physical therapist.
Great.
We just hired a physical therapy assistant. So we're moving on and charging forward.
Yeah. So in the midst of this, you folks have been in the COVID time. You folks have been really busy, and
getting busier.
busier.
Yeah. We did have some reduced office hours for a while. We're still there, but the referrals are increasing. We actually have a fair number of patients that come in that are self referring, so they don't have a referral from a physician. They're coming in because of their own aches and pains.
Yeah.
So it might be, a contractor, who's just sore from working, tweaked a back or whatever, and then, whatever.
Sure.
Lawn mowing, whatever, a lot of landscaping going
Yeah.
on, yard work and stuff.
So you can just walk in off the street and pay cash?
You can. You
Yeah.
do not need a physician's referral in the state of Maine to see a physical therapist. It's called direct access. What might change that is, will your insurance cover it?
Yeah.
So that's a different issue. And we're able to generally get a physician to sign off on that.
I see. So
So
insurance is kind of looking for the top physician to sign off to begin with to push.
sometimes,
push it that
although
way.
that's slowly changing.
Yeah.
Some New York insurers, New York-based insurers don't require a physician, and we're actually some of your musculoskeletal experts for injuries to joints and muscles. And it can be money saving to start with your physical therapist instead of your physician.
Yeah.
You know, we do a very thorough examination and often are very successful in our subsequent treatment.
No, that's great. Wow. So, but a lot of this, you get a lot of your referrals come from doctors.
Yes, and actually, regardless of where your physician sends you, you can go anywhere you'd like for physical
So you
therapy.
could just, and I've been sent to the hospital for physical therapy before, not knowing I could go somewhere else.
Yeah, you
So
can go wherever you'd like.
there is a
regardless,
choice.
Absolutely.
Great to
You can go
know.
wherever you want or whatever's convenient for you.
You know, that's wonderful. So, you know, and I think that leads right into the last sort of high point here is in a sort of a wrap up as we go. You know, 30 minutes goes by so fast. And we could just talk about all this stuff for a long period of time, really. Patients have a choice for any of this. Why should they come to you?
Because we
Because you have a pool.
that too. We really take the time and work with the patient one-on-one. Maureen, my PT assistant, and Olivia, my new PT assistant. Maureen is very skilled with sports activities and is excellent. She's been practicing also for about 37 years.
Wow.
And we offer a couple of special programs, A-STIM, which is a technique often used for tendinitis, tendinosis, and it stimulates reabsorption of scar tissue and helps your body lay down healthier tissue. So for tennis elbow and other tendinitis, tendinosis issues. And we also have a program that we use called Sports Metrics, and it's teaching any sports person, but particularly young girls, how to jump and land correctly, how to cut,
Wow.
to try to avoid ACL tears.
Nice.
And we use that on a lot of lower extremity patients, regardless of what they're returning to for activity.
Great. No, that's wonderful. Well, ladies, we're out of time. I want to thank you for coming and sharing
you.
with
Thank
our
you for
chamber
having us.
folks.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you, folks, for watching out there, and just want to have you join us for our next segment as it comes up. Again, this is Chamber Chat with Chip with the Wiscasset Area Chamber of Commerce, and we've had Sheepscot Bay Physical Therapy. Thank you, LCTV. We just want you folks out there to tell your friends, and you can get on the internet. You can get on the LCTV internet website and catch us. Thank you again, and have a great day.